entire team. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you. I'd like to thank Commonwealth's attorney, Mr. Plowman, for his efforts. I think you're being too kind, Steve. You and I have had conversations on numerous occasions relative to budgets and money and that kind of thing. I think you're being professional and polite amongst your peers, but I think, quite frankly, in this county we have a disproportionate setup when it comes to funding relative to law enforcement, relative to all of the other things that the county does do. When we had the first meeting back, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago here, I was talking with 5 of your deputies outside. We were sitting around chatting. And of the 5 guys, one of them lived in Loudoun County, the other 4 lived in West Virginia. So what we have here is we have law enforcement officers who are actively in the community working hard, doing their best, but they can't live here because they can't afford to live here. So they're living in Western Maryland, they're living in West Virginia, they're living in places other than Loudoun County because they can't, because the budget, quite frankly, is set up in such a way as to where we are funding roughly 30 some odd, 30, 32, 33 of our agencies off of about 25 to 28% of our money. So what I'm asking, I guess, is I'm asking our Board of Supervisors to start the process now. We just went through a very, very difficult budget battle. And many of these issues were raised at that point, but I submit to you that it is time for this board to do a better and greater effort relative to the proportionate amount of spending relative to law enforcement in Loudoun County. I spoke with Commonwealth's Attorney Plowman at an event, I would say about a month and a half ago, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jim's overall budget is about $3 million a year, and he was giving back 5%. So I would hope that the board could start that process now for next year, because I think, Chairman York, you've said a number of times in the paper, and rightfully so, and you're correct, that next year's budget is going to look worse than this year's. It's going to be an uphill climb. And so in order to correct some of these problems that we're having here relative to services, I think we've got to look more to law enforcement and fund these guys a little bit better than we're doing. Thank you.